Tennessee Titans, I mean, do you take him here? Because it is hard with this draft class, because if you're a team that is in need of a quarterback, obviously you want to take it. But again, we're not talking, I mean, nothing against Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I think that they're both really good quarterbacks. I think that they should transition well to the NFL. But you also have this kid named Travis Hunter out there. And it's like, he's generational, in my opinion. So it's like, do you take him and skip out on, losing maybe your quarterback of the future? It's hard, so, but a lot of people have Tennessee taking Cam Ward number 1 overall. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beard Zone Sports Talk. My name is David. I got Carlos with me tonight. And Carlos, it is about that time, sir. We're going to be breaking down these prospects coming into the NFL, man. It's almost draft time. It is officially draft season. We got pro days going on. The combine is, behind us, and the draft is right around the corner. I think, what are we, like, four weeks away now from it? So
yeah, about four weeks.
About 4 weeks away from some players, their dreams are finally coming true, unless if you get drafted by the Browns. But before we get started, do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and get that notification bell so that way you don't miss any of our content this NFL offseason. Carlos, the most important position on the field is the quarterback. If you don't have a good quarterback, the odds of you winning a Super Bowl, the odds of you being in contention for a Super Bowl year in and year out, not very high if you don't have a good quarterback. And that is exactly the position that we are going to be breaking down this evening. We're going to be going over the top prospects and kind of where we feel like that they might go. Maybe see some sleepers here. But I'm excited to dive into all of it. So without further ado, I know that you're excited to talk about this man right here. This is probably the number 1 guy, depending on what board you're looking at. But that is Mr. Cam Ward from Miami. The kid is an absolute shout out. No, you got to put up the U, So, but Cam Ward, he could go number 1 to Tennessee, but what should we know about Cam Ward from a Miami fan?
Cam's got an electric arm. The guy can throw from any angle. He's got NFL talent, arm strength. Like, this guy's got it when it comes to, and he actually throws a very accurate deep ball. He can get it into tight spaces. He scrambles pretty well. He just doesn't do it a lot. He did it at Washington State when he had to, but at Miami, he did it in the Florida game. He ran, showed that part of his game, and then you saw as the year went on, he didn't run as much. Probably because he had a lot of time in the at times to sit back there and pick people apart.
Or at least he made it seem like a lot of time.
Yeah,
it seems like that this kid is unshakable. Like, it just the game is slow for him. I understand that it's different definitely from college to NFL, the speed of the game, but I think that that's one of the biggest hurdles for college quarterbacks coming into the league. And I think that Cam Ward is definitely maybe a little bit more prepared than, some of these other guys. He just looks so comfortable. Like, it's almost like he's like bored sometimes.
He gives the true meaning to cool as a cucumber, man. He doesn't. Nothing flaps this guy. There's no part of the game that's too big for him. Miami had a more than enough games of where they're down. Even the Cal game, they're down 30 with just a quarter and a half to go, and then he storms back and leads them to a win. Yeah. So, and he's done that before. So the pressure isn't too big for him, and he has got a huge chip on his shoulder. So he has a lot to prove. His arm, like I say, is good, and he can sling the ball from different angles, which you see from like Patrick Mahomes. Even Josh Allen does it from times. So you kind of need that, especially when you got 6'6" guys in front of you. You got to be able to sling it at different angles.
I will never forget one of the best highlights that I can think of from Cam Ward this past season was when they were playing, I think it was Virginia Tech, and it was that drive that ended up getting, I believe it was the tie, right? And there was 2 plays on that same drive. One play, he like threw the ball at the ground. It was almost as if he knew his wide receiver was going to be on the floor, and he was like, you know what, I'm just going to give it to him. Like, who thinks of that? And then the second one is when he was getting sacked, and he did like a basketball, like just chest pass to his guy. I mean, like, definitely creating plays where there is nothing there, and that's what you want from your quarterback.
He does do that, 100%.
Yeah.
He does also a good job of recognizing where the blitz is coming from, and that's definitely going to help him in the NFL. Like I said, with his arm strength, anything within 25 yards, the guy can sling it in tight windows on there. So it's going to be interesting because he does have some flaws. The kid loves the home run ball, and that could be a flaw for him in the NFL, especially the way defenses are playing over the top now, more of like an umbrella. But he's got those attributes of quick release. He gets rid of the ball very quickly, so that's going to help him. He just has to. It's an interesting pick because you're going to either. I'm trying to think who we could compare him to in the NFL that really is this like I want it all, and I'm not afraid to throw the interception or take that chance because they might get a big play out of it.
Jameis Winston.
No. He's better than Jameis now.
Well, he's better than Jameis. I understand that, but I'm just trying to think of like a guy who always wanted the deep ball and just didn't take what was given to him sometimes.
Yeah, maybe early Patrick Mahomes was kind of like that, but he did have Tyreek. He had the 8-yard pass and he would take the 50-yard bomb. So
yeah,
but Cam's got things he's got to work on. And if you're the Tennessee Titans, that's a tough one because you don't have I feel like last year's draft have those big names of quarterbacks that they use the term generational. I don't know if you get that with Cam and Shador. Like these are our top 2 guys. I just don't know with Cam because he just has so many things that are in the negative. Like he makes bad decisions. Like he'll throw across his body across the field, which is a no-no. But the guy can throw on the run. There's been times where he's rolling left, sets his feet. He did it against Florida, and he throws a strike to the back of the end zone. And it's just like, Jesus. There's half of the NFL quarterbacks in the league now that can't do that.
Yeah.
But he does have Georgia Tech did the best thing against them. And it's a game they should have won. I feel like they should have won that game by 20 plus, but they lose. Georgia Tech did a great job disguising their defense and showing him a pre-snap and then falling back into something he was not ready for. So they would hide hey, we're going to blitz, and then they back out. They throw a couple linemen out, drop them back in coverage, or a linebacker he's thinking it's going to go left, the guy goes right. So he's got to work on those adjustments, and that's going to be crucial in the NFL because that's what defense coordinators do.
I was about to say, that's what defense does. That's what the NFL defense does. They disguise themselves very well. So that's definitely going to be a big learning curve for Cam Ward. If you're the Tennessee Titans, I mean, do you take him here? Because it is hard with this draft class because if you're a team that is in need of a quarterback, obviously you want to take it. But again, we're not talking – I mean, nothing against Cam Ward or Shador Sanders. I think that they're both really good quarterbacks. I think that they should transition well to the NFL. But you also have this kid named Travis Hunter out there. And it's like he's generational, in my opinion. So it's like, do you take him and – skip out on losing maybe your quarterback of the future? It's hard, so but a lot of people have Tennessee taking Cam Ward number 1 overall.
They do. I think when these GMs draft a quarterback, I thought that the Commanders did a great job with Jaden Daniels going, Jaden does this well. Kingsbury is like, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And I think when a lot of guys come in, they're like, oh, this is our offense, and you've got to, you got to fit into it.
Right.
And that with Cam, I don't know if if you look at the receiving core with Tennessee, is it enough with they've got Calvin Ridley, You got a veteran there. You get Van
Yeah.
Jefferson, who is a veteran, and he can stretch the field. But then you have Treylon Burks, who he is a freak athlete, but he's not translating into that receiver. But, I mean, you never know. Cam always had the safety net with Restrepo. And actually, he had he had a good receiving core, and he had it. But Restrepo was always his guy that he could come back to when he needed a throw. He was this guy, so he's gonna need that guy. And with the Titans, man, it's tough. You got the number one pick. You don't want to be talked about 3 years from now that you drafted a bust and you wasted that pick.
Yeah,
but you're right. Somebody like Travis Hunter, I don't think so. I don't think I don't want to say it's 100% done deal with this kid, but I don't think he's a bust. I think he's going to give you. I don't think so either. He's giving you 2 positions in 1 pick.
Yeah.
So it's a tough. I wouldn't want to be in Tennessee's shoes right now, because if it was me, I'd probably trade the pick. I'd move back a little bit.
Yeah, take it out of your hands. They would probably be able to get a really good package for that number 1 overall pick, but God! But then you don't want to be that team who traded away and missed out on the opportunity of getting whoever you wanted to in this draft. So, but speaking of the next guy, kind of on everyone's board is Shedeur Sanders, and I'm not gonna lie. I think I was a little bit of a hater on this guy simply because I didn't like the fact that I felt like he got his ticket into Colorado easy because of Deion being the head coach and just taking him from Jackson and getting him into a little bit. I mean, obviously taking him from Jackson to Colorado. That's a little bit of an upgrade. And I was like, would he have gone if it wasn't for his dad? But this kid balled out, man. This kid balled out in Colorado. He did a lot of good things there. And he's put himself in position to be maybe the number 1. I mean, we don't know who's going to go. We really don't. It's either Cam or it's Shedeur. And, it's not like last year there was the question of, oh, well, is it, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels? It was pretty solidified that Caleb was going to be number 1. This draft, I'm hearing difference every single day. I mean, both of these quarterbacks can stretch the field with their arm. Both of these quarterbacks can extend plays with their legs. Both of these quarterbacks protect the ball for the most part. Shedeur did not throw a lot of interceptions. He only threw 10 last year. I think Cam had 7. But both of them threw for over 4,000 yards. Both of them threw for over, I think, 35 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you'll take that. You'll take that any year for if you're a quarterback. So, but with Sanders, what should teams look for? I mean, you mentioned some weaknesses with Cam Ward, where it's going to be, and I think all rookie quarterbacks are going to have a transitional period where they are trying to read the NFL defense. They're going to try and read the disguise packages. That just comes with film study. That just comes with experience. But with Sanders, if you're number 1 with the Tennessee Titans and you are for sure going to take a quarterback and you're going between the 2, what should you know about Sanders that, hey, this kid is going to need to develop in this area a little bit more?
Well, I mean, he is coached on the offseasons by Tom Brady. So some of the stuff he does well is kind of Brady-esque. He does read the field very well. He has a really good pump fake. Like, he can pump and reset and then get rid of the ball. His delivery is a little bit longer than you probably would like. The thing, I think what people like about Shedeur is he has played he's played running. This guy's never had a good offensive line ever.
No.
He's had talent. I mean, he has Travis Hunter around him. He had J.C. Horn around him. He's had people, good receivers around him. He just never had a line. So he's had to make quick decisions. He's athletic, but he's not like a Jaden Daniels athletic. He's not going to beat you a lot with his legs on here. So he's going to be – he's an interesting guy because you're going to go to a team that's, if you're going to the Giants, because I think these 2 guys are going 1 or 3, the Giants don't have a great offensive line. So you got to be able to move. And that might be a little bit where Cam struggles because Cam doesn't want to run. He will run, but he doesn't want to.
Right.
But Shedeur is able to move outside the pocket and make those throws that he needs to make. My only worry with Shedeur is when he does move, his arm strength isn't quite. He doesn't have the big arm like Cam, so it's going to be a little rough. I mean, it's going to be interesting for both of these guys, but they both have really good qualities you're looking for, and Shedeur has those, and you can tell that he's been coached up by Brady.
Yeah.
But that's
not a bad guy to have as your coach either.
No,
that's not a bad guy to have. Hey, this is what I know from my experience. Let me give you this knowledge and feed it into you. And he's been working with him for what, 3 years now? I think it is 3 off seasons. So I mean, that's a good amount of time to sit behind to get in this guy's back pocket.
Yeah, and you can tell he's gotten good vision work from Brady because he does keep his eyes down the field. Even though there's pressure in the pocket, he's still keeping his eyes down the field, and he's got good foot movement in there, moving around. It's kind of like Tom. Tom moved enough, you got those Tom Brady, Dan Marinos that did that, but it's really tough with these teams. You need a quarterback, but you're just looking at these two guys, and they're not Jaden Daniels. It's not Caleb Williams. It's not Bo Nix. It's not Drake May. Like last year's quarterback class was that's why Cam
really
Ward,
good.
Yeah, that's why Cam Ward ended up in Miami because, I mean, he's going to make himself millions more on top of what he made last year. But
yeah, fair enough. Absolutely.
You can't say like these guys are coming out to get paid. They're already getting paid. So they're just getting a contract.
The cat's out of the bag. College players get paid? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like Shedeur's. He's very smart. You can tell he puts the work in. I love the videos of him and Cam going at it and their workouts.
It's great.
And they are just busting each other. Like, it is nuts.
But you know what I get from those videos? I get that those guys can be leaders in an NFL locker room. Yeah. Like, that's what I get. And that's another big factor that you have to take into consideration. Look at what's happening with Caleb Williams. Not that he's, untalented or anything, but one of the biggest things that his issue is kind of his demeanor on the sideline and how he took, some criticism and how he had what his reaction was to negative outcomes. I mean, you're a quarterback in the NFL. You're going to have negative outcomes. Like, there are going to be days where it's just not your day. And then, you throw yourself on the bench. I mean, that's just not a good look. Sanders and Cam, they both seem like they have very level head, but they also both feel like that they can be the guys in the locker room. And that's what you need from an NFL quarterback. You have to be able to kind of bust each other's balls a little bit, with these guys and, have thick skin because, dude, I mean, you're going to, Tennessee's fan base, I don't feel like is too rough to deal with, but I mean, you're going to New York. New York is not an easy market, right? I mean, they're not easy. So if you're Sanders or if you're Cam and you get drafted by the Giants, be ready for some serious criticism. Be ready for some seriously, like if you have a bad day, those fans are going to let you know, hey, you had a bad day, right? But if you have a good day, those fans are going to let you know that you have a good day. So you got to have to take it as you will. But I love those videos with Cam and Shedeur. So let's move on. Excuse me. Let's move on to the next guy. This guy was kind of the hot topic, a couple of years back, and he's just kind of slowly stayed in the mix. Great, solid quarterback here, and that's Ewers, Quinn Ewers from Texas. Solid year. I mean, 3,400 yards, 31 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He kind of rotated. I mean, I don't want to say rotated, but Manning did get some play time, but I think that was just in some situations, obviously where they kind of had packaged it in with their offense. But Ewers is now, coming here. Can he be a guy who goes round one, Or I mean, are after Cam and after Shador, are we looking at day 2 guys, day 3 guys? Is there anyone else like yours that can go number 1?
There's only one other guy. It definitely is not going to be Ewers. I think he's falling. I think he got exposed last year against Georgia. I just didn't feel he played very well down the stretch. And then he's got him looking. The only other one that can possibly go first round is Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. But Ewers has got. I mean, he's got experience. He's played with Texas, so he's played in the SEC, Big 12. Like he's got some big game experience. He had some nagging injuries last year, but he's an interesting one. He didn't have a bad combine though. It wasn't. He threw the ball well. He tested out pretty good. He just has some issues, probably reading before the snap. And I feel in the pros, that may be the most important thing to know what you're looking at. And I mean, even Lamar in the beginning was playing off sheer ability, and now he's actually reading some defenses. You can see the difference.
Yeah.
So with Ewers, not sure. I feel like he's a later in the guy draft, like mid rounds. But Jackson Dart's a guy who you could possibly get taken late in the first round. Could see like a Michael Penix type thing. Somebody takes him as that backup, like, hey, we have a quarterback, but takes like the Green Bay mold here. Hey, and let me take this guy. I'm a fan of. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if Miami were to snag him up a little earlier. I know not first round, but if he's hanging around that second round, there's some things I like about Jackson Dart, but his arm strength is not the best. So he can sling the ball, but he's not like. Cam and Shador definitely have better arm strength, but I think somebody takes a chance on Jackson Dart.
I think so too. I had Jackson Dart as kind of like my dark horse. So I mean, I guess we can. Well, no, let's stay on Ewers really quick. I mean, not too much longer, but I mean, so you have Cam Ward. He played in ACC. You have Shador, who is Big Ten, right? And then you have Ewers with Texas, he's SEC. You have Jackson Dart, he's SEC. I feel like, in my opinion, now, I mean, you're more of a college guy than I am, but shouldn't we be looking more at quarterbacks from the SEC? Should we not underestimate them because of the defenses that they are playing against? I feel like that it's more pro ready for sure.
They are, but honestly, if you look at our NFL quarterbacks, like our studs, if we take our top 3, you got Josh Allen, Wyoming. Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech. We're not talking big schools here. I mean, you got Tua, Hurts. They come from big schools. Lamar's Louisville.
Yeah,
I mean that's an ACC school. So I don't think so. I think these SEC quarterbacks, when we look at them, I don't think they play with such good team, like around good teams. And what you'll see with these SEC quarterbacks, when they play a bad team, these stats get padded quickly. It's halftime, and they got 400 yards, 5 touchdowns against William of St. Mary's Baptist Church. So, I mean, they do it. And there's some bad SEC teams. Like if you're playing Vanderbilt, Kentucky's a tough one, but you never hear Kentucky in contention. No. Mississippi State, Arkansas, they're tough, but you never, they always end up, 5-7, or there's just not really good teams. So they beat up on those teams.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of SEC guys, they just don't make it. Like the quarterback game, man, they come from everywhere. They're just, it just depends on the guy. But our top guys are coming from essentially what we would consider non-quarterback schools.
So where would you be if you're an NFL GM? Say if maybe you're not in need of a quarterback, like you're not, pressing for one, but you have maybe a question mark, or you have a guy who is a little bit older. I mean, like there's so many teams out there. You have the Seahawks. I know that they just got Sam Darnold, but I mean, look at what the Falcons did last year with Kirk Cousins. Just because you got paid doesn't mean that you're not going to get your replacement, in the draft. The Raiders, they went out and they got Geno Smith. What is he gonna? The Jets, they have Justin Fields, but what's gonna look like? You have the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Who huge
got
question.
nobody.
They don't got nobody right now, you know. So it's like, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is just playing with their emotions, and Cam Hayward is getting tired of it. But I mean, there's several teams out there that aren't in position to, you know, unless that they're going to give up an insane amount of, you know, capital, they're not going to be in position to get Cam or Sanders. So where would you, if you were one of these teams, would you look at Ewers maybe in like the second, third round? Or is he a guy who you just feel like, you know what, if he's available in like the fourth, fifth, sixth round, maybe, then that's where I would take him.
I think that's probably where he lands. I mean, unless some team, and you can never account for a really good backup at the NFL. We see where, like, take the Dolphins last year. If they had a better backup, they probably win a couple more games. So having a good backup is in the NFL is not a bad thing. So
not at all.
But I feel like he's a 4-round guy. It just really depends. This draft is so deep in other positions. I feel like these quarterbacks that are second level are going to just slip back. But I feel there's a team that's going to be, you know what? Hey, we could sneak in and grab one of these guys. It may be a little more. It could be like a Sam Darnold. Maybe it takes him a couple years to develop, or even a Jordan Love. But these guys have talent. It's just, man, you're coming off of last year's draft where you got 5 guys. You're just like,
you had a lot of talent last year for sure. So
they played pretty well. Drake May is probably on the number 5 of the guys, but the other guys played really, really well.
Yeah, definitely impressed. I want to go to a guy who won the national championship, and that's Will Howard. I mean, he's a big physical. I mean, he's a big guy, right? Like big quarterback. Definitely kind of the prototypical like build of a quarterback. But when I look at Will Howard, he had a fantastic defense, and he had really good weapons on offense as well. So my question is should Will Howard be considered? Well, I mean, we have him here in the top, but should he be considered, in this top section of the quarterbacks, or is he down?
I'm going to give you a name, and somebody you can relate to, and this is what Will Howard means to me. Kyle Trask.
Oh.
Part 2.
Oh.
I just think he was in a good offense. I feel like even their national championship game, they weren't going to – the chip on the shoulder of the Ohio State was just too much. And that team was really good.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith, to me, is the second best receiver in football last year. They were just that good. I just don't see enough in this guy where it reads, I think he'll hang around. And there's a lot of guys that do that. They hang around because I think in practice he's going to look great. But I just think when it comes to game time, I just don't see it on there unless he's like with the Eagles and he's got that offensive line. And even then, you see what Jalen Hurts does behind that. Nobody's going to go, hey, Jalen is just killing these passing game right now. And he's got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So, and he's kind of in that pass. He's got the same type of attributes when it comes to passing the ball. He doesn't read off defenders well. It's just, Jesus, he was just playing Ohio State. Look at the 2 running backs, the receivers. I mean, Jesus, these are all guys that are going to be playing on the NFL on Sunday and not special teams. These guys are going to be in the game, plan.
It's definitely the Ohio State Buckeyes this year were loaded with talent and offensive weapons for sure. And Will Howard benefited from it. I mean, absolutely. So should be interesting to see where he goes. Where do you have him? So you have Ewers as a 4th round kind of guy. Is he right around there with Ewers, or do you think that maybe he's a little bit later?
So he had a decent combine. There were he went through a little stretch in the throwing part, was not good. He had 3 or 4 bad throws, and they're just throwing the ball in the combine. There's nothing there. His drop back, they throw, they do it all. They do this in practice all the time.
Right.
But all in all, he had a solid combine. I feel like he's good. Him and Ewers are going to be kind of close. I feel like he's a 4th, 5th rounder. somebody's going to take a chance on him. He's a national championship winner. He had a great championship game,
Yeah.
and he didn't perform bad at the combine. He just, I think he's definitely a project. I don't see him as a guy that you're like, oh, I don't even see him like a Jordan Love said a couple of years. I think he's just going to be your prototypical second, third string guy that hangs around. And like I said, he's Kyle Trask.
Man, tough.
If Trask went, if Baker went down game one, and you're like, Kyle Trask has got to finish out the season for the Bucks, you're like, well, we'll be a top 10 pick next year.
Yeah.
Nobody, yeah. I think that confidence level, and I think that's what you're going to get with Will Howard.
Yeah. I was high on Kyle Trask. I was like, oh, I trust Jason Light. He drafted him. But I'm definitely happy with our quarterback situation. It has been a long run as a Tampa fan that we had just had decades upon decades with just like, who's our quarterback? We don't know. Let's go and see who's hanging around. Think about the list that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had. They've had Jeff Garcia, Byron Leftwich. They have had Ryan Greasy, Chris Sims. It's just like, what the hell are we doing? But now we finally got some consistency there in the quarterback room. Let's go to a guy who I honestly had no idea about, probably just because I'm not a quarterback guy or I'm not a college guy. But you mentioned him as we were kind of getting ready for this episode, and that's Kyle McCord. So tell me a little bit about Kyle McCord from Syracuse.
Man, this guy is he got kind of lost with all the Cam Ward door stuff. This kid, he can throw the ball. From Syracuse, man, he's got a lot of good stuff. He's just that guy who he loves to throw the ball and he's good at it. I mean, over 4,000 yards. I just think with the school he was at, he doesn't get the Heisman consideration. So he's not a Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. He's Kyle McCord at Syracuse. Right. But he does a lot of good throws. He's got a good feel for the pocket. He understands what the offense is trying to do. And I think he's a guy like, hey, if they're giving me the 8-yarder, I'm going to take it because I know the 15-plus, 20-plus is going to come open from me doing that. So he is smart. He just needs some – every quarterback has his flaws, and he's got his. So he still needs some footwork issues he's got to deal with. And there's got to be a little bit of competition in there too. He hasn't played that high level competition as some of these other guys have. So, but you can never take away from a guy when you take somebody, and I am not comparing him to this guy, but another guy that played not at a high level school was Dan Marino at Pittsburgh. But Dan just loved to throw the ball, and he just knew what to do with the ball, and he got it there quickly, and he got it there with some zip. McCord is not at that level, so before anybody says I'm comparing Kyle McCord to Dan Marino, I'm not. But he knows what he wants to do with the ball, and he gets it there. Yeah. So, and he loves to sling the ball. And any quarterback that wants the ball and loves slinging it, there's probably some things. He's a good sleeper. If I'm a team, that might be a team he's going to be around there in that fourth. I think he'll actually be there. I think he'll go ahead of Ewers. But he's a guy that if you're, if you're the Raiders and you got Geno, you only got a couple years out of him probably. It's not a bad guy to sit there and learn. There's some teams out there that could take a chance and have got a quarterback that's, got a few more years and maybe take a page out of the Packers book.
It's very rare, and I know that this is hard to kind of have people wrap their heads around, but it's really rare for a quarterback to be ready to jump right into the driver's seat and take the team to the next level, to be playoffs. Now, we saw Jaden Daniel last year. Definitely an anomaly. Like, that's not going to happen.
Bo Nix, too.
Every time. Bo Nix. Yeah, there was so much talent last year at this quarterback position. I don't think we realized what we were getting ourselves into as NFL fans when quarterbacks from last year came out, but you're not going to get that every year. Look at the guys who have been in the league and who have found success. Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. also has Andy Reid as a head coach. Let's keep that in mind as well. The head coach is a huge play in where these quarterbacks are going to go. You have Josh Allen, consistent organization, consistent front office, consistent coaching staff, right? And they waited for Josh longer than a lot of NFL franchises would. It took him 3 years, three seasons to get to being the elite quarterback that we know him as today. Do you remember when it was, are the Buffalo Bills going to go and get Cam Newton? Like, do you remember that? And thank God that they did it.
They did.
Right?
And you might have a similar situation. McCord is not as, and kind of going back to him, he's not as athletic as Allen. But I do want all you Buffalo Bills fans to know it took a Miami Hurricane quarterback coach and Ken Dorsey to make your guy into an MVP. So
there you go.
But McCord's like that, and these quarterbacks that I like, and when I think like, okay, they got a chance, are guys who attack defenses. McCord was that guy. He's like, I'm just going to attack the defense. I'm going to keep you on your heels, and we're going to come straight forward. We're not playing around. Cam does that. And Shador does that too. What worries me is when a quarterback comes out of a gimmicky offense. I thought Kyle Trask played in a kind of a gimmicky offense. They did a lot of stuff. They had Tony, who ran like a 4-1, high or non-high. They had Kyle Pitts. Like, they had a ton of that good talent around. And Jackson Dart is kind of the same way. He's kind of in that Lane Kiffin gimmicky offense, so that kind of worries me. But these other guys, man, they're this attack mindset. I love it in quarterbacks.
Yeah. Speaking of let's go to Jackson Dart, because there was something that happened today at a pro day that I want to address before we end this episode. But Jackson Dart is a sleeper in a lot of people. Like, I've been hearing his name more consistently kind of around these mock drafts. And so, I mean, he's from Ole Miss. Ole Miss gave a lot of people a lot of problems this past year. And looking at his stats, the kid had a good year. The kid, it wasn't anything like groundbreaking. Only 29 touchdowns, a little bit low for the touchdowns, but he only threw 6 interceptions, and he had he had about 4,200 passing yards. I'm okay with that. Take care of the ball, and just kind of do what you need to do to help your team win. But he has he's very charismatic from everything that I've seen. And that is something that I like in a quarterback. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. And look at how, honestly, Baker Mayfield is almost like annoying with how charismatic he is. But people love it. People love that energy, and people feed off of that energy. Jackson Dart, I feel like, can definitely take that and bring that into an NFL locker room. And I think, as long as he produces, right, you have to produce if you're going to be like that. But I think that he can produce. What do you think? And you said earlier, this guy could be number one, like not a number one, but a first round pick.
He could be a real sleeper pick. Let's say Aaron Rodgers ends up with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got a pretty solid team that they've done enough in free agency to give that team a big boost. But let's say they get Aaron Rodgers. Only Rodgers has a couple years left, or maybe one. They got the 21st pick. Jackson Dart might be a guy that could sit there and learn. I wasn't a big fan of the offense, and it's probably the numbers relate to it. But he's had a good throwing sessions, and they ran the ball a lot of Ole Miss. Lane does like to do a lot of RPO and some trick play stuff. So he's had games where he's lit it up. He reads the field very well, keeps his eyes down the field, and he's kind of has that Shador, like, he can run. He probably actually is a little more athletic than Shador. Shador's not as athletic as I think a lot of people think. But he gets out of trouble. He knows when it's coming, and he gets out of it, and he's able to move the ball on the run. So I think he's a guy. Here would be with Jackson Dart. I don't. If somebody doesn't take him in the late, and if you're the Cleveland Browns, I roll the dice here. They've got that second pick. I go with whatever the best player. If it's Travis Hunter or Carter from Penn State, you got that second round pick that's coming. Yeah, Abdul Carter. You got that second round pick that comes quick. That might be a place where you get Carter or Hunter, that changes your offense or defense, and then you get Jackson Dart in the back end. I don't think he comes in and starts, but it could be like a Drake May situation where he sits, he gets in a little bit, and then around game 9, I mean, let's face it, the Browns are not playoff bound next year, so it's okay that they take a year off and maybe settle for 3 wins.
Yeah.
But it might be a guy you start playing around week 10. Let's get him in a half and let's see what happens. But it's probably worth the risk to maybe take him with that second pick in the second round. So that might be a
situation that the Browns could find themselves in on draft day.
Yeah.
Because you really could. I mean, you could take Travis Hunter. I don't know if I would take Abdul. Just simply because you just signed Myles Garrett to that monster contract. Now, or maybe you do take Abdul because then you have Myles Garrett and then Abdul Carter
coming off the corners on both ends. It's going to be nasty. Carter he can play.
Yeah,
and having both guys come off the corner, that's
a nightmare.
I don't know what you do. Yeah,
that is a nightmare. But for Jackson Dart to fall into the second round, and like you said, they're pick number 2. Tennessee's not going to take him.
Tennessee might be a way to do it as well. Hey, go get Carter number 1, and take a chance. Maybe Jackson Dart. I mean, you still have Will Levis. I mean, it's not, but you never know. Maybe he turns it up a little bit.
Maybe.
But I mean, what's the worst case? The first pick in the second round. This draft is so deep in a couple different areas of needs for them.
Yeah.
Then you just get a good guy there. So you're building in the right places. You just keep building those trenches. So it's not a bad situation for them. And then if not, maybe you wait another round and you take a Kyle McCord or something, one of those guys, or Jalen Milroe, who just freaking ran his ass off today.
Let's talk about that. I was going to – so that was the pro day that I was talking about. The guy ran a 4.37 40. What?
Disgusting. Why is a quarterback running a 4.37? I have no idea.
Why is he – okay, you know what? Because I need to see what –
It was the most easiest 4.37 ever.
Yeah, Lamar ran a 4.34, right? So, I mean, okay, a blink, right?
But if you look at Milroe in this, Lamar was not built like this guy. This guy looks like he's borderline linebacker, and he is moving. But we had another guy do the same thing, run a fast forward, look like a linebacker, Anthony Richardson. So... But Milroe actually didn't have a bad combine. He throws a deep ball with ease. I'm talking like 65-yard bombs, and he's hitting receivers in stride.
And he's
interesting.
You know who had I think it was like a dinner or something with him just not that long ago, and it was Tomlin. It was Pittsburgh.
I mean,
Pittsburgh there's some teams out here that are in such interesting situations. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's happening? Right? They went from 2 starting quarterbacks to none. Like in just a matter of a week. And then you have the Cleveland Browns. You just traded for Kenny Pickett. You still have Jameis Winston, I believe. And then you also have your mega money man, Deshaun Watson, who is not working out for you. So it's very clear that you're trying to get someone, because why would you trade for Kenny Pickett, who was a starter at one point in the league? You have the Tennessee Titans. They have Will Levis, but it's pretty clear that they're not sold on Will Levis. But they're also in a position to get a generational talent like Travis Hunter, like, dare I say, Abdul Carter. So it's like, there are just some teams right now in the NFL where you're like, man, what are you going to do? And this is why the NFL GMs get paid what they do, because you have to think about this and you have to make that decision and pull that trigger come draft night. And I mean, may the odds be ever in your favor, because there has never been, it is so hard. I want to make a list of all the round 1 quarterbacks who have made it. Like, honestly.
That list
There's
is
not a
as
lot.
big as you think. Yeah.
There really isn't, you know. So it's like a lot of these guys are kind of treasures that just GMs find late in the season. And again, I can't stress it enough. It comes down to the coaching. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes would be Patrick Mahomes without Andy Reid. I don't even know. Like, yes, he's talented. I think that he would not find success at all? No. But I don't know if he would have the resume that he does without Reid.
Here's what I think we should do to test this theory. I don't think any of Dolphin Nation would agree. Let's trade Tua and Patrick next year. Let's just see what happens. No Andy Reid. Let's see what Patrick does. And then we'll think about swapping back.
Well, I don't know, man. Patrick in your offense might be pretty cool too. And he has Jalen
Waddle, Tyreek
Jalen
Hill,
Waddle and
Jonnu
Tyreek
Smith.
Hill. You know, and then he has oh my God, his name is blanking on me. The running back who is a Blazer as well. Oh, come on, Miami fan. It starts with an A.
Wait, wide receiver? A-Chain, yeah.
A-Chain, yeah. So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that all Miami Dolphins fans would love that. Just, hey, let's do a test run and let's just see what happens. So, and the Super Bowl logo is very, like, you know, Vice City kind of.
I'm with you. But Milroe is an interesting guy. Like, he had games you're just like, God, how the hell did he make that throw? And then you had the next game against the USA Bulls and go, why in the hell did he make that throw? He's so up and down. I'm not his biggest cheerleader by any means. I just think there's some bonehead stuff in there, but raw athlete. It's tough, but you might get another Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson. I think the head game of the game is the most important. Yeah, I just don't know if he has it up top. He's got all the skills, athletic ability in the world, but the best quarterbacks got it up here, man. This is what gets them to the next level and keeps you up there in that QB1 status.
Yeah, it's all about between the ears, man, and the maturity. Yeah. Scooter says it a lot. I mean, he would be preaching on that right now if he was here. I think he's back next week. But I mean, the maturity of the quarterback is huge, you know, depending on that maturity level with your quarterback. So we'll see. We only got 4 weeks, and then we got then we have 3 months, 4 months before we actually get to see them take the field and play in an NFL game that matters. But I mean, it should be interesting to watch. Let us know down there in the comments who you have as your number one guy, who you would choose if you were the Tennessee Titans. Would you go a Cam Ward? Would you go a Sanders? Or would you go with one of these generational guys like Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter? So let us know down there in the comments. We would love to hear from you guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that way you get all of our content through this NFL offseason. And be sure to follow us on all of our socials. We are on Facebook. We're on X. We are on Instagram. And obviously here on YouTube. But we're here every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We appreciate you guys. And until next Friday, see ya.